G'day trendsetters, I'm John with Gravel Cyclist and I'm coming to you today with a tripod dog and my long-awaited full suspension gravel bike project build centered around Niner's MCR 9 RDO full suspension bike. Now, I have reviewed this bicycle in the past on the Gravel Cyclist YouTube channel, so do yourself a favor and check that review linked in the description below. Now, this particular variant is bespoke. You cannot buy this configuration off the shelf, unfortunately. In fact, it's taken me a long time to collect all the parts to present the build that you see before you. Leading up to this, there are 5 videos where I cover everything from the frame, the fork, the components, etc. in great detail, and all those parts are weighed. Now, for those who have not seen those videos, this is obviously the final build. Now, this build is centered around Classify's very unique 1x system. Now, the system is actually 2x, but the 2x action happens in the rear hub. So you get a 2-speed rear hub with a 1x drivetrain. But there are advantages to this and of course disadvantages. The one advantage to this particular system is I can use a much tighter cassette. In this case, it's an 11-34, and the big chainring, so to speak, is a 44, and the small virtual chainring equates to approximately a 30-tooth chainring. So a really good range of gears. Now, making this build even more unique is the shifting components, which are by Campagnolo. It's mostly a chorus drivetrain, although there is a record shifter on the right side of the bike, and this is a 12-speed build. And here's an interesting fact. The 12-speed Campagnolo shifts perfectly on a Shimano/SRAM spaced 12-speed cassette. How about that? That's because as I've gotten those gaps smaller and smaller and smaller, well, the compatibility has worked out in everybody's favor. Regarding the Campagnolo chorus rear derailleur, it doesn't feature a clutch. You might be thinking, whoa, how the hell is that possible to ride on gravel as a 1x application? Well, guess what? Folks have been riding 1x on the gravelly roads, less traveled, mountain bikes and more for years without a clutch. Now, clutch derailleurs are a fantastic invention. So to help with chain management, I had my friends at Wolftooth of Minnesota send me along their Narwolf. So that's the little device sitting just above the crankset to help with the chain management. And if you're interested in seeing a long-term review of Campagnolo Chorus in the 2x12 speed flavor, it is, in my opinion, one of the unsung hero grip sets of mechanical shifting, and it works great on gravel. Check it out, linked in the description below. Now, covering the rest of the components. Starting at the front of the bike, you have the Fox Tapercast 32 suspension fork designed specifically for the rigours of gravel cycling. Obviously, some people are going to say, what the hell, man, you don't need a bike like this, or just get yourself a mountain bike already. But you know what? People are welcome to ride wherever the hell they like these days. So if you don't like it, you don't have to buy it. Moving forward to the wheel set, this is a classified wheel set, which obviously has to be for it to be compatible with the classified system. Do yourself a favor, check out that system in detail linked in the description below. Tyres are the venerable Panaracer Gravel King SK 700C by 43mm in a very fetching brown sidewall, which I think makes this bike pop. Crankset is by my good friends at FSA, full speed ahead. It's an SLK crankset, carbon fiber, and it is configured right now with 1x. It can be configured 2x as well. And as I mentioned earlier, 44-tooth chainring, and the chain is by KMC. It is 12-speed specific, and it works on Shimano, Campagnolo, and apparently SRAM as well, but obviously Campagnolo and FSA in this situation. And that is mated to a classified 11-34 cassette, and these are the ratios. That crank turns on a bottom bracket by FSA with ceramic bearings. In fact, if you'd like to see the build videos of this particular bike, check those out, linked in the description below. Pedals, those are Shimano XTR, although I might be switching back and forth between Garmin's excellent XC200 power meter pedals as the mood strikes me. I have a very long-term review of those pedals in the works. Bottle cages, well, I thought it was natural to install some beautiful Calfee, made in the United States, carbon fiber cages. Over to the cockpit, an FSA K-Force light stem in 110mm and a complementing K-Force light compact drop handlebar in 42 centimeters, which is actually 42 centimeters outside to outside. So it's a relatively narrow bar. As I included in earlier, a mixed pairing of record shifting for the rear derailleur. That's a hydraulic 12-speed shift brake lever. And the left side is the chorus, which in this situation is serving as a brake function only. Now, my good mate, Peter, who built this bike, g'day mate if you're watching, we did try to hook up that left shifter to control the lockout function of the rear shock. Unfortunately, there's a specific throw needed and we just could not get it to work successfully. So we're running the stock lockout lever atop the handlebars. Inside these tires, sealant, Orange Seal Endurance formula, love it. And the handlebars are wrapped by a company you may never have heard of, Snap Cycling. Really nice handlebar tape. The Lady Rebel Cyclist has been riding this for some time. Do yourself a favor and check out that company linked in the description below. Headset is supplied by Niner, and the seat post is a very lightweight, full speed ahead KFX mountain bike specific seat post with plenty of setback. And atop that seat post is one of my favorite saddles, the Ergon SR Men's Pro, but with a little bit of weight saving, namely some carbon fiber rails. Finally, the hydraulic brake calipers are by Campagnolo. The rotors on this bike are 160mm front and rear, and again by Campagnolo. Campy's brake rotors are non-series specific, so if you have Super Record, Chorus, etc., they're the same brake rotor across the entire line. Now, Campy has a little bit of a interesting way of sizing brake calipers. So this fork here, I found out, requires a 140mm caliper because it flats mounts to this particular fork. Now that usually with Shimano and Tram is no worries because those particular calipers use a spacer to size up for 160mm rotors, etc. However, Campagnolo, well, they do it differently. They have a 140 caliper and a 160mm caliper. I was thinking I'd need a 160 caliper, but well, 140 calipers required. So unfortunately, the 160 is sitting too high, and therefore I really can't ride this bike unless I choose not to run the front brake at all. So I'm going to sort that out. And once that is sorted out, etc., there will be a long-term review of the classified system happening on this particular bike. Caliper problem solved. Simply install a bigger rotor, namely a 180 from TRP. So I'd be a real bastard if I didn't show you a bit of a sneak peek of the functionality of the classified system paired with Campagnolo Chorus. Here be a brief demo. Quick demo time. The classified system is in the big chainring position. Let's shift down the cassette. And this is Campy with a 12-speed space cassette for Shimano SRAM. Amazing. Shifts pretty nice, huh? Now I'm going to shift the cassette down to about the middle and then engage the power shift so you can see me pedaling a bigger gear, then watch the cadence change when I go to the virtual small chainring. Watch carefully. Small chainring position, big chainring position. More chainring position, big chainring position. Very, very trick. Let's go down another cog. Let's show you that switch between virtual rings again. Big ring right now, small ring, big ring. Small ring, big ring. From this perspective, you can see the LED shift on the through axle. Small ring, big ring. Small ring, big ring. And here's the perspective from the handlebar unit, sending the signal to the smart through axle. And I understand you get about 10,000 shifts, so plenty of battery. Now, stating the obvious, this bicycle is not going to be for everybody, and one of my favorite methods of suspension is pneumatic suspension, bigger tire volume. In fact, this 43mm casing is my go-to size in terms of the Panaracer Rebel King tire in this day and age. But this bike is appealing to a lot of riders, especially those who are a little bit squeamish when descending. In my experience, this bike was a ton of fun descending some crazy grades and that sort of thing. And also, if you like to ride long miles, it can really help take the edge off. Now, all of this Suspension definitely adds some complexity and weight. Now you might be wondering, what is this complete bike weight? Well, looking at it right now, as it stands, including the bottle cages and the pedals, you're looking at about 24.4 pounds. No way is it a lightweight, and some folks are going to say, dude, you can buy yourself a super lightweight hardtail or full suspension mountain bike. Yes, you can. Obviously, you have to spend some serious cash to get the bicycle that light, and with that said, this bicycle certainly isn't cheap either. But again, it's not for everybody, and no one's forcing you to buy this bike. So, with that said, I really hope you've enjoyed my project build series, the collection of all the parts and the build videos, and coming later, the long-term review of Classify's very unique 1x, or is it a 2x system? It definitely gets rid of the front derailleur. As always, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the Gravel Cyclist YouTube channel for interesting content such as this. No bullshit gravel bike reviews, ride experience videos, other product reviews, and general madness. What are you doing? Look at this dog. This dog's often part of the madness, aren't you? I'll definitely see you in the next video.